Okay, now we're recording. As you recall from the last meeting, we made it through the majority of the bylaws, but we needed to get onto other topics, so we pushed it to this meeting. Want to discuss topics for the August general meeting, and then have everybody do board reports, and then we will adjourn hopefully in an hour. All right. So let's move forward then. So meeting minutes. So Marcy, would you like to pull up the meeting minutes? And yeah, I know you got one comment from Brad. So if you don't have that showing, then I will share that comment if you prefer.
Yeah. Oh, if you can bring that up. I don't know how to bring that up.
Okay.
I am not that tech savvy.
Okay. I've pulled it up. So Marcy sent out the meeting minute. Oh, sorry, Marcy, you go ahead.
Oh, I sent out the meeting. Brad had a few changes, but if anybody needs anything else, let me know. Otherwise, I think they're good to go.
So we had, yeah, so there was the section on the advertising. So Brad had sent out that email with the two bullets that you guys see in front of you. And the question is, should we replace those bullets that were previously in the minutes with the bullets that are currently being shown? And
yeah, it's just some refined wordage
yeah.
so that it shows the reason that we're not doing advertising and not charging people because of the pandemic, not because we didn't think it was worth it.
Yep. No, I think this makes sense. So is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes with the proposed amendment?
So moved.
Yeah. I so move, or second if Brad has moved.
Okay, Brad moves, Cynthia seconds. Anybody oppose? Okay, then the meeting minutes are approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so the bylaws amendments. So I sent out the version 2. So as I mentioned, we made it through the majority of the changes. There was one change that we still need to go back to, but we made it through the majority of the changes. So we just have a couple more. So let me pull that up.
Oh. Okay.
All right, can everybody see the bylaws?
Yes.
All right, so we made it to Article 5, committees, and I'm gonna go back up. There was one point that we had discussed. I think it was the number of people on the board that we need to that we never finished because people needed more time to discuss that. So I will go back up to that, but I wanted to make it through the rest of the bylaws first. So this first change, this first addition. So I can see it. Okay. So the first change was talking about the committees, the board committees. And I just added this sentence that basically says, if committee meetings are held, a meeting notification shall be made 3 days or more in advance by publication in print or by electronic communication. And the reason that I added this is because it became a pretty significant issue when we had a meeting of the Homeless Outreach Committee, and the meeting was not advertised and people were pretty upset. So I just figured we would, if we had committee meetings, I know we don't have a ton of them, but if we do have a committee meeting, that notification should be made publicly available so people can attend. Any thoughts on that?
I don't have any problem with that. I think that's a good idea so that other people, if they want to join it, can do that and give them time to arrange a schedule.
I agree.
Hey, Alex, I just had a question on the publication. Is there publication in print? Is that specified anywhere what that looks like, or can that be? I mean, typically it would be where?
Well, sometimes we've had like the Friends of Panton Square Park meeting has been in the newsletter. Okay. Every now and then it's so far in advance that you can do that, but
Yeah, it's also been in, like Chris sends out that weekly notification, so it's been,
Okay.
well, we have not posted any in there before, but we could. And then we could also post on Facebook, we could post on our website, we could post on Nextdoor.
So there's really a variety of ways that folks could publish and publicize such a meeting.
Yeah, and I don't want to be strict on what, because
Sure.
it could change.
Yeah, and I think that the 3 days makes a lot of sense. I would support that.
Okay, perfect.
I have one concern, since
Sure.
there's a reason we put these things together, and that is, I think the meeting notification needs to come from OKNA. Somebody could say, oh, well, I sent it out to my email distribution folks that have 500 people on it. It isn't something that is run by OKNA. So that I'm just a little concerned about that. I don't know how to word it though.
You could just stick at the end of that sentence via OKNA channels.
Works for me.
Okay. All right, I think that makes sense.
That's
Any
good.
other? Huh? I think we had talked about, I know we had talked about posting meetings somewhere else. I wonder if we want to add that same. I'm gonna have to go find it.
On the website.
No, we had talked about the general meetings.
Oh.
And the question is, do we want to put that same verbiage on that?
Well, since the chair is really the one that's going to be organizing those, it's hard to imagine a chair would send it out to a personal email list.
True. That's true. Okay. Everybody okay with that change?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, then the next one. Okay, so here was another significant change. So elections of board members shall be held at the annual general meeting in September of each year. That hasn't changed, obviously. The election shall be by nomination at least 10 days prior to the annual general meeting by written notification to the chairperson. Members may nominate themselves. Nominees will be listed on the OKNA website 7 days before the election. Now, the reason that this was changed is because of COVID. And there might not be a floor. And it would also be very hard to track people online and to know if they're OKNA members. So, and then lastly, this piece here, the nominees will be listed on the OKNA website 7 days before the election so that people don't have to attend a meeting. If there is a meeting, they can get an idea of who the nominees are 7 days before the election. And then, as you will recall, the last meeting we had talked about having the election and having it be at a location that is, they could either vote in person at the meeting site if we have one, or we're also going to set up an external site that people can go and vote at. So any comments or questions on this piece? And this one, I just put in a couple of examples here of other ones. So Kenton requires, well, Kent was different. They had a committee of 3 people who actually went out and looked for candidates. So people didn't nominate themselves. And then Alameda required people to submit their name and contact information 10 days before the annual meeting. So that was the one that I selected, since I didn't think the Kent one made sense.
As long as we've got enough notice, I mean, obviously we can put this out and talk about it for weeks, because 10 days before it's going to be what, the Saturday after Labor Day, something like that. This year is kind of weird because people obviously are not on vacation as much, and it's different. But in a typical year, people get distracted with other things, and so I just wonder about people nominating themselves, wanting to nominate themselves after the deadline. We'll see. I can go with this, and if it doesn't work, we can change it.
Yeah, I mean, the point would be they couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had a fair amount of nominations from the floor, but it also kind of probably depended on how many people stepped up in the first place.
Yeah, I think at the last several that I've been at, the majority of the people signed up before, and then there were a handful of people who signed up. So people will just have to email before. Any other
So
thoughts on
anybody
this
that wanted
piece?
to join the election would have to email by September 5th, because it looks like the elections would be on the 15th. No, sorry. Yeah, September 5th.
Yeah, that is right. It's late Labor Day.
Yeah. So maybe this one wouldn't, I don't know, maybe this year this would be tough because when is our August meeting? Well, the 18th. So if we were to vote on it on the 18th,
Then 2 weeks later is the next
We'll
board
still
meeting.
have a couple weeks to get to us.
still have a couple of weeks, yeah.
Well, 2 weeks, and we can get an announcement out right away. I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah, and we can at least put two announcements into the weekend update, and we can, yeah, okay, that makes sense. All right, is anybody opposed to that change? Okay, and keep in mind, this has to go before all OKNA membership to be approved anyway, so. Okay, so we changed this 1 to 2 years. We had talked about, and I think that was it. So let me go back up to,
People?
that was the only one. Those were the only 2 changes that we had remaining. Yeah, so let me go back up to here. So composition of the board. We had talked about this. So 15 board members, this is our current amount, shall be elected annually or less, right? There was a discussion on whether we should change to 11. And you had a month to think about it. So University Park, 13, St. John's, 15, Portsmouth, 11, Kenton, 16. I mean, they're all over the board. I went through a lot of them. Some of them are as many as, there were some that were like as many as people want to be on it. There were some that were like 7. So we can kind of do whatever we want. So I guess there's 2 thoughts here, right? 15 allows for more people. It allows for more people to leave. Oh, you know what? Is everybody getting in? Okay. Let's check. All right. Yeah, so 15 allows for more people, obviously. That also allows for people to leave during the year. Now keep in mind, we also decided that we are going to, I think, yeah, we're going to do 2-year terms, and we're going to offset them. So if there are 15, it would be 7 people elected 1 year, 8 people elected the next. If it's 11, it's 5 and 6. Any comments or thoughts? I mean, we can leave it, or we can change to 13. University Park was 13, right?
I like having the same number every year, but that's just me, probably.
Say that again,
Same.
Brad.
I kind of like having the same number every year.
Same number being 15, or?
Whether it's 6 each year for 12 or 7 each year for 14, the chances of us actually having everybody there and having a split decision is just about 0, in my opinion.
So have an even number, like 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what do people think about that? So have like 14 or 12 or 16? We probably want more, but. And usually the chairperson only votes if there's a tie anyway, right? So potentially the chairperson wouldn't vote. I don't know. Any other thoughts on the number?
I like the number 12.
12.
If nobody else. 12 seems good because it's 6 every year.
What do others think?
I like an odd number just because it does create the situation where we can avoid a tie if everybody's there. And I lean to 11, but I'm not strongly wed to either. So if people want 12, I'm fine with that.
So does anybody still want 15? Let's try it this way.
Well, I was thinking about, we've only maxed the number of board members in the last few years. Historically, we never got the maximum number ever.
Right.
And we've only gotten the max because people who are passionate about one particular topic come on board, and they come on board in droves.
Yeah.
And so they're really on the board strictly for that topic, and really don't, from my experience, they're not particularly energetic or effective with other activities, other responsibilities, and then they drop off, or they don't stick around for a second year. So I haven't found it valuable to have 15. So I would not be concerned about shedding 2 or 3 board members. I don't think it would affect the board activity, the robustness. We haven't had a board where all 15 people were doing so many different things, and it was just, fabulous. It hasn't been.
Right. Yep. I think that makes sense. I think the other piece of that is having it split every other year also kind of could, well, I guess it could be good and bad. One, it could be bad if people flood it and they take all the positions, but also I think having the 2 years might help with that, with what you're talking about. People would be more interested if they're going to stay on for 2 years. But yeah, I agree.
My guess is there will be 1 or 2 people who drop off each year. And so sometimes there are going to be 1-year positions, and folks will, to finish out a term, and folks will be interested in that.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess the number of people, whether it's odd or even, we always seem to have, rarely seem to have everybody. So oftentimes there is an even number no matter what. So yeah, I think that
might change a little though, because we tend not to have a full board if someone drops off, because it's a 1-year term, and if they drop off in May, what's the point of filling it for 5 months?
Right. Yeah.
True.
If they drop off in May of their first year, well, there's still 17 months left, then we would probably fill that seat.
Okay.
True. All right. So how about either 12 or 13?
I could go with 12 or 13, but I don't think that's what you're asking.
Yeah. No. I just want to narrow it down a little bit. So
Okay, 12 or 13. I'm interested in
okay,
that
so
range.
12 or 13. So we're not going to do more than that. What is there anybody opposed to doing more or less? Or is there anybody opposed to doing 12 or 13?
No, I think 12 and 13 are good, because people are going to have to, give 2 years if they're signing up for 2 years. So that's kind of nice with I don't think we're going to find 15 people that will want to do 2 years, but if smaller numbers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I like 13.
Okay. So now the question is, do we want an even number or odd? So to Chris's point, we have an odd number gives us the ability to do a vote, or, to not be stuck at 50-50 in case that ever happens. The 12 allows us to vote 6 and 6 each year.
I'll say something about the nefarious side. You have 7 candidates that are all elected at the same time as a block. That group then can take it, even though they have nothing to do with the rest of the board. They would have 7, and we'd have kind of what we've seen in Congress. So I think 6 and 6 stays away from that a little bit.
That's a very good point, Brad.
Okay.
Indeed.
Anybody opposed to 12 and doing 6 and 6?
Oh,
All right.
Sounds good.
Okay, now I know somewhere in here I have to change like numbers, of people who are blah, 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 but I can go do that. I just can't remember what it is. Okay, all right, that was it. So were there any other comments now that it's been out for a month and a half, I guess? Were there any other comments that you guys had on anything in the bylaws that you would like to talk about?
Alex, can you just remind me where we settled on the who was eligible to vote question?
Yes, it's up here at the top somewhere. So an active member is any person described above. So they have to be, right, they have to live within Overlook. Who has attended
That's fine.
one, I'm sorry?
Yeah, I see it. 1 meeting in 6 months. Great.
Yep, yep. And then we had this thing where it said, of course, for this next election, that point is moot. And then I also changed, so based on our comments, just wanted to go through this one thing. Based on the comments that you guys had at the last meeting, I changed this to being all active members shall have one vote each to be cast only in person, either while attending any regular special general meeting or at a designated voting site. I know there was concern that they wouldn't attend in person at the regular meeting, so I added that.
So this one I would like to run by again just a little bit.
This one?
So, yep. So I understand the designated voting site within Overlook. I'm just kind of thinking about how this is going to work. So meeting happened. I mean, we've seen some interesting things in the last year. Let's say we have a meeting on a hot topic, and then people hear about the results of the, not the results of the vote, because the vote can't be, tallied until everybody votes. But after the meeting, then word gets out on social media and people come and vote on it at this designated site like the next day. Is that a feasible possibility that we set ourselves up for?
No, because we have this. So to vote, you have to have attended one meeting.
So that would, okay.
We would announce in advance, if we were doing a designated voting site after a meeting, we would announce that in advance. So,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, people could rally people to come out, but the only time I would envision us doing that is for the board elections. If it's a vote of membership at a meeting, say on a bylaws amendment, we would just do that at the meeting probably.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Well, you bring up a good point then, Chris. All active members shall have one vote in person. So that would mean that every time we have a vote, it would have to be in person. We can no longer vote online.
Well, no, I would think a person is being personally logged into a Zoom call. You're still in person. You're not physically in person, but you're virtually in person.
So do we need to delineate that? Yes.
Yeah, I like saying virtual though.
So how would we know the difference if somebody voted on a in-call meeting and then somebody else, and then they walked into a voting station?
Again, I think the only time we're going to use the voting station is for the election. And we would probably not do at least as I envision it, and this would be up to the board each time, but we would not do any voting at the September 15th meeting, say. I mean, we will this year because, well, no, I mean, if we adopt this, we wouldn't have voting at the September 15th meeting. Rather, on September 16th, we would have people stationed at Overlook House to do voting throughout the day.
So it's either or, not both.
No, it's both.
Yes, that's how I would recommend we run it. This doesn't preclude us from doing both, but I think you run into a lot of problems if you try and do both.
And that's what I was.
Yeah, I mean, we can't do both. We can't do it at the September meeting because we don't know, we are not able to like see who's voting and track that. But I think after we pass the bylaws, we could do it online because then we will have a list of people who are active members and then we can vote online. I think it's just this next 6 months that we need to get through.
So
Amen.
cast only in person.
So I mean, maybe I
that
can
needs
get
to be
rid of that,
reworded.
right? Can we just delete it?
Yeah, I think so, just while attending. And attending
Yeah.
can either be physically or virtually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
You don't
Whether-
need the comma after meeting either.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need that comma.
All right. Anything else that people noticed?
No, I think these are all great, Alex, and I appreciate your going through and kind of getting us up to COVID standards.
Hmm.
What,
COVID standards.
May they go away soon.
yeah, there you go.
The
Would,
COVID.
what's the plan on how to present this at the meeting? Would it be go through them all and vote on it as a package? Or,
I think it needs to be done as a package.
okay. And then people
Doesn't
can offer
necessarily
amendments
have to be
as,
done as a package. I think maybe the way to do it is at the meeting, go through them, and if any of them prove particularly contentious, pull those for individual votes, and then vote on the rest of them.
Okay, and we can try that. I just say that as a package because a lot of them are tied to each other. And pulling them might prove difficult, but we can do that. I'll try to bucket them into topic areas. Okay, so we will present this. This will be one of the agenda items, obviously, at the general meeting. So I can present it and go through all the different changes. I think that would be great. Is anybody opposed to moving this? I should probably say, can we make a motion? Can somebody make a motion to approve the bylaws? As
I
amended.
move.
Marcy, any second?
I'll second, it's Alex.
All right, Alex seconds. Anybody opposed? All right, the motion passes. All right, thanks you guys. Let's go back to the agenda. All right, the August general meeting. So obviously one of the biggest topics on the August agenda meeting, August general meeting are the bylaws. So I think that will
18.
be set. I'll probably set aside an hour for that, go through that, 45 minutes. Does anybody have other topics for the August meeting? I mean, it can just be the bylaws.
maybe, should we talk about the election in September? And
Yes.
people could Q&A or whatever if they want to. And I mean, obviously you can kind of see what's happening on here, but in case people had questions, it'd be an opportunity.
Yep, I think that makes sense. Chris, when does the newsletter go out?
I think Alan's getting them tomorrow, so
Oh, perfect. Okay. And that had a story about the election in it. So that'll go out.
yeah, probably by next week, everybody should have it.
Okay.
Brad, was there some transportation thing? I kind of in the back of my mind, I'm thinking like Peabot was going to come talk in August or something.
About the trundle?
They came in.
Yeah, no, they've been here. I know. I think we were debating about it, but they were available at the earlier date, so they came to June.
Okay.
We got that 3-for-1.
Julia said she couldn't make it, but she said there were no land use There was nothing regarding land use. So the election and the bylaws. I mean, I think those are meaty topics, so those can be.
Yeah, great.
And it is August, so we can, it's National Night Out, right? But,
Oh, is it?
is anybody having National Night Out? I
Sure.
don't know.
Great time to have it.
It's been very quiet.
All right, well, if anybody has anything else that they want to put on the agenda, obviously we're going to have some. So you can just send any thoughts or ideas to me before, well, in like a week and a half, because we'll post the meeting the Saturday before probably. Okay, all right, well, next on the agenda is board reports. Does anybody have anything to discuss? I'm not going to call on people, just gonna let you guys go.
Last time I said that I would go down and check with Hazelnut Grove about
Yeah.
what was going on. I went down on the 11th because that's when they're supposed to be having their meetings in the morning. I was there about 11, well, quarter 11 or so. Nobody was around. I waited around for about 15 minutes and left. Then I sent an email to 2 different people that I found online that were connected with Hazelnut Grove, just reiterating what Sam had said about the problems he had down there and asking them who was in charge, what was going on, are they planning on moving. We understood there were some conflicts with a neighboring gardener, and I have not heard back from them. So I will do another follow-up email this week, see if I can get any information. Otherwise, I'll just go down there on a Saturday again.
Okay. Any questions for Marcy on that?
Trying.
It's very strange.
Just an update on views. Like I said, they should get distributed in the next week or so. We did have one paid ad, as people probably saw in the drafts. We added a couple people to the business directory. But overall, I think this edition turned out really, really well. We have some good content in it. So, yeah, it's a good summer edition.
Cool.
Yeah, good job. I really thought Chris, you did a good job of getting what you got in there.
Yeah, thanks for pulling it together.
You're welcome.
Definitely, as usual. All right, Brad, you have anything? I lied.
Let's see.
Calling on
Yeah,
people.
of course I do. So, yay, the Greeley multi-use path between interstate and going is done.
Nice.
And now we wait for, and Chris, you made the comment, and I drove through there the other day on Greeley going through Adidas. There is kind of a cycle track on the right side, but I think that's just construction related. Yeah. So I thought they were doing it on the left, on the west side is where it was going to go. Is that wrong?
Think through the Adidas area, that's going to be on both sides of the street. It'll just be standard bike lanes.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought they were doing something fancier, but sounds good. If you hear
once it gets south of going, then it's just on the west side, right?
Correct.
East side.
Correct. And I sent a note in to see if we can get the, at least there's a lot of graffiti out there, but if they can take the graffiti off the signs that say coming up interstate, to use the Greeley signal to get on the path so they don't do stupid things like riding on Greeley anymore. That would be great, because it's not that that barrier is high enough that it's not very easy to get across with the bike.
Bring your bike over.
Or a truck or anything else. The other thing would be, and of course the Trunnion project is coming up in September. You all know that, I think. And they're going to start probably, I think, next week with shutting lanes down on I-5 and things like that. But I think we're going to just get tremendously lucky out of this as far as not causing the gridlock that it would have a year ago. And then the last thing is the treasurer report. We have just over 29,500 in the bank, of which we received 1,000 reimbursement from the city for communication expenses, and $1,500 was given to us by Portland Parks Foundation on behalf of Cynthia. That'll be reserved for use for the movies in the park when we eventually have them. And I have some more work to do on the official books and all that kind of stuff, but the dishwasher decided to die this weekend, so I spent time on that instead of the books. Maybe next week.
Cool.
That's it.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
George, I have you on the list next, since your name is Cynthia or Carolyn.
Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. I haven't changed genders, but it has to come in on Carolyn's little wonder machine here. At any rate, I have been in touch with Jacob Rostoff at the North Community Safety Team there. And there is going to be a kind of a quasi PSAC meeting via Zoom coming up this Thursday, August 6th, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And so to get the information about that, you would go to North PDX team at portlandoregon.gov. That's all lowercase, NORTH.PDXTEAM at PORTLANDOREGON.gov. And just send a message to Jacob, and he will then send the information about the Zoom connection, much as happened here. It's all by magic to me. It appears they're on track to have volunteers take over. And there's two of them. I don't know their names. One's from University Park, and one is from Roseway. And they're going to be putting out an e-newsletter sometime. And so there would be a way to sign up during that, or going to the North PDX team. But eventually, Jacob and everybody else there in community safety will be doing a kind of a backup situation and providing resources and help to those volunteers. So this is all very much an experiment and a work in progress. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. As it turns out, I'm going to be very likely down in Newburgh. I'm going to try to tune into it down there. But I don't know if I'm going to have adequate reception out in the country there, because it's not right in downtown Newburgh where I'm going to be. At any rate, so that's the extent of it. It is on track for the volunteers to be taking over the PSAC program pretty much altogether, and the involvement of the North Commander or anybody else in the police bureau or in any of the bureaus, I think is still kind of in a state of flux as to how that's going to work. So there will be more information at that PSAC meeting this coming Thursday. That is the 6th.
George,
at 6 p.m.
Is
Yes.
it possible for you to forward to the board the email you get with the Zoom number so that Alexandra and I, whoever else might want to attend, we don't have to write in person and that we would just have that Zoom number?
It might be possible. I think all things considered, I'm probably the least computer literate person here. And so the thing that Jacob sent to me, I don't know exactly how to go about trying to forward that to anybody else.
And why is that? Is it an email?
I believe it is part of an email, kind of like the one that Alexandra sent to my wife's email, because that's how it has to come in order for me to get into the Zoom here with OKNA. And so,
Could you forward it to me, and then I can forward it on to the board?
it might be possible, but I can't guarantee it because I've never tried to do that. So,
Carolyn will know.
what's, huh?
Yeah, ask Carolyn if she can.
Oh, well, Carolyn had somebody from the hall help her set up the Zoom thing on her iPhone here.
Okay, well,
And
let me email him and I'll see if I can get it and send it out. How's that? Then I can just send it.
I'd
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Okay.
I can try to do it.
I'll do it.
Let's
I'll go
see
find
now.
him. Because I think that Mary will have that information, and she might have even sent out an email. So let me go through. I will get that information for everybody and send it out.
Thanks.
Okay. And if I want to try to do that, what's Cynthia? What's your email address?
It's okay, George. I'll do it. I'll send it out to everybody.
Well, I suppose I should give it a try, shouldn't I? All I can
Maybe,
do is
but-
fail.
Maybe, but I'll give you, yeah. Well, I don't know if Cynthia, if you want to give your email out, but go for it if you do.
All right. Yeah. Or do you want to give me a call, Cynthia?
If you were going to give it a try, you could just forward it to the OKNA board address. You know, OKNA board. What is it? Is it Google? What is it? Googlegroups.com.
This might be
Okay.
hard. I'll just go and I'll figure it out.
Okay.
I'll do it for you.
Please excuse my illiteracy here. I just.
No worries.
Okay.
I'll contact.
Thanks, Alex.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for the update.
Sure.
Marcy, did you have anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Okay, Alan.
Yep, I expect the newsletters tomorrow.
Great. All right. John.
No, there's nothing new.
Okay. All right, Chris, you don't have anything else? Alex? Oh, sorry, Chris.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay. Chris, did you have anything else? I just skipped right over you.
I do not.
Okay. Cynthia.
The only thing I have is that you may remember that the board approved $25 to be sent to for the North Portland Advisory Committee website project. And we contracted with a North Portland person who's a webmaster to set that up for us. So we are in process of working with her on that. And I would say that it'll probably be up and going in September. I will send you the information and we'll have it in the weekly update as well. But our intent is to inform and to advocate. So we'll try to have as comprehensive as possible accounting in an attractive form of all of the parks, trails, and other amenities, natural amenities and so on in North Portland. Any kind of story to tell about its history or about friends groups working on certain projects, you know, like Friends of Patton Square Park, for instance, photos, and then any stuff that's happening. And then we will be putting information and news about anything that has implications for our park resources in North Portland.
Very cool. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions for Cynthia? Sounds like a cool project. All right. Does anybody have anything else? Did I miss anybody? Because people keep moving around on my little participant list. I thought I was in order, but everybody keeps jumping order. So I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay. If nobody has anything else, then I will send out the updated bylaws for everybody, and then we will talk to you on whatever, August 18th,
18th.
18th at 6:30. All right.
Okay.
Thanks,
Are you
everybody.
going to be sending out the Zoom link again?
Yes, and unfortunately, it will be different than this one. Though I did set up a recurring meeting this time. The problem is that it doesn't allow you, if you set up a recurring meeting, it doesn't allow you to use your personal personal information. So I have to, they gave me a new one. So for the board meetings, this will be the number. And then for the general meetings, I will have another number, another call. Phone number will be the same. The phone number will be the same, but the web information will be different. So, but I will send that out. I will send that out in a week and a half.
To do our individual emails?
Well, I will send it to your wife's email.
Okay. And then, yeah, it doesn't matter to me when we're doing the meeting here, if it comes up with her name on the screen. I was noticing that I'm on here 3 times. And I'm not
That's
sure
'cause
how
you're 3
that
times
works.
the fun.
Did I touch something in the wrong place? I don't know.
This brings
see-
up a
I
point
see
that
you on once.
I forgot to mention earlier, which is there is a discount for using Zoom, an annual subscription. And so I talked to Alex and Chris about that, and they thought it would be a good idea to just sign up for a year's worth because it doesn't look like this is ending anytime soon. And we've got that option to meet, or other folks could meet from home if they wanted to, depending on how we're going to go forward. So,
And yeah, I agree. And I think even moving forward, if people want to call in, if we can set up, if we end up meeting in person again at some point, we can always allow people to call in. So I think it was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, everybody. Well, have a great evening, and we will talk to you in a couple weeks.
thank you.
You.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay.
everybody.
Night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Night.
Bye.